Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back. News and views right here on Salam Media. We cross over at exactly 8:40 a.m. South African time to Germany, and we are now going to be talking with Naisan Lin. He is an activist and co-founder of the Free Rohingya Coalition. They are obviously based in Germany. We are going to be talking about the Rohingya genocide survivors being allowed to land in Aceh in Malaysia. Assalamu alaikum to you. Welcome to the program.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thanks so much for having me this morning.
And you continue your amazing, selfless work regarding the issues around the Rohingya people. Um, and this should be good news for you, should it not? Because we understand that the second boat of 185 Rohingya had arrived in Indonesia's Aceh province. Let's understand what led to these people fleeing to Indonesia. How dire is the situation? And you and I have had many conversations around this issue. Is it getting worse?
Well, first of all, their primary target is Malaysia, but somehow they reached to Indonesia, and we really appreciate the humanity, incredible humanity of the Aceh people. This is not the first time Rohingya boat were allowed to land in Aceh. This in the past year also, a few boat landed there, and the Aceh people never pushed back these people to the sea. Always they hosted and they helped the people, so we really appreciate. And uh, the the thing is, the reason why these people are fleeing from from the camp in Bangladesh, and also in Rakhine State. So the situation is not improving. They have no hope that they will be allowed to go back to their homeland in Rakhine State of Myanmar anytime soon. And in Bangladesh camp, there are several restrictions. The restrictions are same as imposed by the Myanmar authority back in Rakhine State. So they can even travel from one camp to another without the permission. The permission also very rarely they got. So they can even go and see their loved one in another camp. Just the even like less than a kilometer away, they cannot go and see. And there is very limited access to the education, especially the youth. They have no future at all, and also the access to the healthcare is very limited. Only the INGO running the clinic there. If whenever they have the issue, any problem to admit the hospital, they got the problem. So there, everything is, all the resources are limited, and the youth are not seeing any future. So what they are thinking is fleeing to Malaysia will be the better option. And once they reach to the Malaysia, at least legally or illegally, they can walk and survive there. They can build at least better future than the living in this camp. And also in Rakhine State, this has been ongoing for more than 3 decades. With this, all the restrictions are in place, and they can also live from the villages. They are confined into the village. The same, the exact situation is like the open air prison. And another group, about 130,000, are confined into the camp, like the concentration camp, for more than 10 years. So these people, these two group, I mean, from the Bangladesh and the Myanmar, they are fleeing to Malaysia. Recently, a fight boat in the sea, one completely disappeared. So we believe that this was drone, and all the people on the boat, we believe they all died. It is about the 180. So the first boat was rescued by the Vietnamese shipping company, and the 154 Rohingya were handed to the Myanmar Navy. We don't know what happened to them. And second boat was rescued by the Sri Lanka Navy, 104 people. We believe, they are well treated by the Sri Lanka people and the authority, and that the third and the fourth just landed in Indonesia.
Okay, so let's understand why they were making their way to Malaysia in the first place. How come they landed in Indonesia? And earlier on, just after I started the interview, I mistakenly said that they were in Aceh in Malaysia. Aceh is actually, Banda Aceh is actually in Indonesia. So
Indonesia.
those who have landed in Indonesia, are they still going to try and make their way to Malaysia? Or seeing that they've been welcomed with open arms in Indonesia, do you think they'll try and settle there, try and find work, and try and make a life for themselves there?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, in the past year also, a few boat landed in Indonesia, Aceh, and the other in other province. But lately, we learned from the people. I mean, the Rohingya remaining in Indonesia, that most of them they make to Malaysia, because the Indonesia has the land border with the Malaysia. So there are also human smuggler. They are always looking and to prey such people, as a victim. So most of the people, their primary target is Malaysia, and also in Indonesia. It is with the large population, and in such places, not really easy to find a job to be in life. And what I heard from the people is they have also limited resources there, and the people, the Rohingya who are remaining there, are confined into the camp, and they have very limited access to outside of the camp. So mostly, I believe, they will be again prey by the this human trafficker, and then they will reach to the Malaysia, I believe.
How do they manage to come into the clutches of human traffickers? And I'm kind of wondering, their situation in Myanmar or in Bangladesh is so dire. How do they even manage to pay their way, their passage via these human traffickers to their intended destination?
Well, first of all, without involvement of the local authority, this will never happen, because, in all the human trafficking across the world, this local authority, politician, businessmen are involved, then this happened because, as I mentioned earlier, in the camp, they have the several restriction, and also in Rakhine State, they can even leave from the camp and village, so how they join this all the boat, and so without involvement of the local authority, it will never happen. Another thing is how they got the money. So Rohingya have some relative in Malaysia. In Malaysia alone, 150,000. The Malaysia is hosting, and Saudi Arabia about 300,000. And in Rangoon, former capital of Myanmar, there are about 10,000 of Rohingya. So these people, at least they can survive. They can make the money. So those people in the camp or in Rakhine State, they ask the money from their relative, and somehow they manage to pay that to the human trafficker, and take this all risky journey to Malaysia.
Very, very sad set
Yeah.
of circumstances. And I kind of wonder, when do we believe this will ever stop? And will the Rohingya people ever be emancipated and be able to go back to their homeland? But let's leave that for another interview. We have run out of time, but undoubtedly we will talk at length about
Yeah.
these and other matters regarding the Rohingya people.
Yeah.
Naisan Lin, thank you indeed for your time this morning. Have a peaceful holiday season in Germany. Until the next time, keep us in your du'as, inshallah.
Inshallah. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so
Wa
much.
alaikum salam. 8:50 exactly, news and views right here on Salam Media. Standing by, I hope, to talk to us is Hadiz Pardes, journalist based in Afghanistan, and we're going to be looking at a further blow to the Afghani people regarding NGOs who wanting to pull out of Afghanistan due to the latest ban on women's rights and women's education.